Hey, I'm here with my guest coach of the week, Professor James Woodfield Jones of Sustainable Jiu-Jitsu. Thanks for having me down.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome,
Thank you.
awesome. So you've been doing martial arts for quite a long time, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're a second degree black belt under Master Joe Moreira, the coral belt. So you've been around for a long time in the Perth scene, you've seen a lot of things, been training a long time. In your words, what is Jiu-Jitsu to you? How would you describe Jiu-Jitsu?
Good question. Jiu-Jitsu is a vehicle for life for me. So it's not just the physical. Obviously, I think it's super important. The self-defense is massively important. It's so effective. In the right context, of course. It's effective in every way, but everything has its context. But also a vehicle for life because rolling on the floor, training your Jiu-Jitsu, every element of Jiu-Jitsu is a self-control. So it teaches you self-control, self-belief, as long as with self-protection, which is the keys, that Humble had made for us. They're my three taglines: self-belief, self-control, self-protection. Jiu-Jitsu is going to give you all of it, because physical is only one thing. It's the mental and emotional. You're dealing with the control of yourself when you're on the mats, which then helps you off the mats. One thing I like to say to my clients, if they train a Tuesday and a Thursday, do you just have Jiu-Jitsu when you're Tuesday, Thursday, or is Jiu-Jitsu with you everywhere you go? And 100% of them say Jiu-Jitsu with me everywhere I go, because it is a lifestyle. The parallels to life and Jiu-Jitsu are very much the same. Don't fight it, let it go. You get the idea. So Jiu-Jitsu life is all-encompassing.
Yeah, and including with that, Jiu-Jitsu being a lifestyle and all-encompassing on the mats and off the mats. What do you look for in a Jiu-Jitsu practitioner? What does make someone good in Jiu-Jitsu?
I think skills, knowledge, and attitude. We could argue the fact that someone's better than someone else, and you're always going to have someone who's more a big guy, a strong guy, a flexible guy, a young guy, an old guy. Doesn't matter. Everyone's got their excellence. The goal is you're not trying to be better than anyone else. You're just trying to be better than yourself. Anyone can go from white to black, or not anyone with dedication and time, but it doesn't matter the individual, whether they're gifted or not. Everybody has to learn, and it's going to bring the best out in the individual. So skills, knowledge, and attitude. Stick around long enough and do the right things, your game's going to be fantastic. But what else is it doing for you? Are you a nice person outside? When you're on the mats, do you share your art? Do you help people? Do you like to smash them and dominate them? Or do you like to lift them? How are you with your friends? How are you with your partner? All of the above. So it starts to become, I would say, my black belts, what I look for is obviously a skill set from the physical, but I also want a massive picture for me is the off the mat as well. And what are they like on the mats? How are they with their kids? How do they interact with people? Are they good human beings? Because martial arts is all-encompassing, martial and arts. Self-protection, physical game, very good, has to be good. Stick around long enough, it's there. But what else is it doing for you? What sort of a person are you off the mats? And if you're very controlled on the mats and you're very, no one's perfect, that's not what we're talking about. But if you've got control of your mind, your body and your emotions, you make a good jiu-jitsu person. Off the mats, you're going to make a good person.
Joe Moreira. For those that know Joe Moreira, real big name, coral belt. What was your first interaction with Master Joe Moreira? What attracted you to him in knowing, wow, I want to learn and know more about this guy?
Well, funny, a friend of mine back in the day used to train in his garage, and we actually used to watch the videos, or the VHSs, which is no longer here anymore, of Marco Hua, Joe Moreira, and Bas Rutten was the other one. So that's kind of the first learning curve that I have. So I've always been fascinated with Master Joe and Marco Hua, and Bas. I haven't been around Bas or learned from him, but that was my first exposure to Joe, and I love the simple, solid. When I say simple, I say that with respect, because it's principle based, very solid game. Very much also geared for the self-protection, because that's why I started Jiu-Jitsu. And very much respect the competition side, and I love the art side. They go hand in hand. The self-protection was why I started Jiu-Jitsu. So I've done martial arts for many years before, and Jiu-Jitsu was was very effective. And Master Joe was, obviously he competed in the UFC, obviously had a lot of fights, so the effectiveness was obvious.
Yeah.
And I met Joe many years ago, and he's an absolutely beautiful human being. So obviously the coral belt is one thing, which is magnificent, but the person in himself is beautiful.
Yeah.
And he is, when we talk about the lifestyle and the jiu-jitsu life, a vehicle for life, and he's your great example as well, because that's what he's here to do, serve through jiu-jitsu and help people, and I feel the same.
Yeah. Tell us, what is the importance of having a good jiu-jitsu or a good ground game? How does that translate to when you're outside off the mats, when you're on the concrete, when you're working the door? Why is it important to have that good, solid grappling game? And what's worked for you, or testimonials of what's worked for other clients?
Good question. I think, I know there's two ranges to a fight. There's an outside range and there's an inside range. So you're either out or you're in. And if you're out, you're either running off, hiding, or holding something away, or you're in. And obviously from outside, like you said, you could run off, etc., or you could stand and strike, which I think is very, very important. And I also do this for many years. But then you have touch. So you're either out or you're in. And there is times to hit, but what's going to be your highest percentage? Control. Now, when it goes to control, then you have to put it into context. So is my goal to take the person down and armbar them? Well, first I have to consider there's a whole bunch of other people around, and it doesn't have to be just done on the ground, it can be done standing up. Basically, jiu-jitsu is, as soon as we touch, it's going to be jiu-jitsu. Meaning you're going to know where the person moves, you have a contact, you have a control. And without going too far into it, we have a short time, you have to take into consideration, if you're going to go hands-on with someone, you better know where their hands go, which you should do anyway when you're grappling, so the person can't push you off, but we also understand the person's going to punch you, for sure, 100% they're going to punch you, they're going to possibly stab you, scratch you, pinch you, pull you, whatever.
Yeah.
So I always know where the hands are. So the jiu-jitsu is so effective because unless you want to stand down in gypsy band or boxing, which is an option, sooner or later it's going to clinch. So I'd say 99% of fights, let's just say roughly, are going to hit the clinch.
Yeah.
Some are going to hit the ground. If the person knows how to dominate and control, put them on the ground, the time, place, and circumstance calls for it. But you could also use your jiu-jitsu to control in the clinch, to disengage, to get out of the fight.
Yeah.
So context is key with everything, but jiu-jitsu, there's a striking element and then there's a grappling element. And as soon as we touch, it's going to be jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very important. But
Yeah.
again, context, because if you see it from the context of me diving on your leg and rolling around on the concrete, maybe we hit the ground, but there's a touch factor to this.
Yeah. Because a lot of people forget that, especially when you're in an altercation and the adrenaline kicks in, or if let's say this guy's on the gear, he's on something that simply just hitting someone or just poking them doesn't always work to plan. Or the typical one is, just run away. I remember I did a seminar of you many years back. You were like, you can run away, but how fast can the other guy run? What if catches up to you?
Absolutely.
Choice,
I think it's really important, get involved in altercations, you see it, and there's jiu-jitsu life as well, because you're in touch with your mind and body, you're in touch with others. What you need to realise is when you're dealing with someone, they don't need to be another jiu-jitsu person. So if you think jiu-jitsu is relatively, I suppose, young, let's say the last 20 to 25 years, big time the last 10 years, jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu. But what about jiu-jitsu on a person that doesn't play the game? So, sometimes you roll with another black belt, don't get me wrong, hard work in performance-wise. That's why you need to be smart. Same game though. Then you come across someone who's big, small, doesn't matter, aggressive, and they don't play the game. You go, wow, this guy's equally as hard, but he's not playing the game in the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He's leery, he's scratching, pinching, headbutting, biting you, punching you, whatever, trying to stab you, who knows.
Yeah.
Same game to control them, but you want to make sure that you're aware of both sides of these, otherwise you'd be highlighted. Because let's say, for instance, I put you down, I put a knee right on you, I'm not expecting you to be technical, I'm ready for you to be technical, possibility, probability, you're going to be a wild man.
Yeah.
And then you go, hold on a second, hey, you tried to spit on me and bite me.
Yeah.
I go, that's what real people do.
Yeah.
So the in, the out, the control and how it's set up in jiu-jitsu is very, very important.
Yeah.
And you can take that and put it into onto the mats in context to the level you want to. Put it in self-protection, the same thing. You could put it into sport.
Yeah.
But we understand in the sport realm you have rules and a time limit, and that's fine, and you have to abide by those.
Yeah. Awesome. I know if you're very pro for private training, for that one-on-one training, and you've done it for many years, almost longer than a decade. Tell us, why do you believe in one-on-one training, and how does that differ to running a class?
So for me, I've always felt like a people person. I love people. I feel very confident in myself. I always have, probably since about 8. I never really felt like everyone else. I think everybody's ordinary and extraordinary, but I feel very confident. I like people. I love martial arts, and this is my vehicle to help people, whether they're anxious, a little bit sad, out of shape, anything and everything is always going to come back to the mind and the body to make people feel good. If I have 70 people in a class, which is nothing wrong with it, because each to their own, but for me personally, I don't get to know the person. You don't know who they are. They come in, they smile, getting roughed up with this person because he's struggling with his emotions, and this guy's going a little bit hard, and then you wonder why you end up with 2 clients on the mats. Well, you're not really getting to know the person. It just becomes a number. So I don't like the number, I like to know people. Once I scratch the surface, not in an uncomfortable way, but in a way that I can get to know the individual, and then I know, okay, now I know what comes, where their mindset comes from, things they've experienced in life, the unconfidence they have, or the confidence they have, and I can work with it, and I can bring the best out of them in that way. And I can only do that privately. And so I'm 7 days a week coach privates. I also do groups, I do small groups, and I also do seminars. Seminar 100 people in there. But that's not my focus. And even then I will still do my very best to go to the individual.
Yeah.
And I think in the this day and age, but I knew this 20 years ago, but everything's very busy, everything's rush, and it becomes like a drive-through. You know, next, but people want attention for them.
Yeah.
You know, this is the time that you take your time to spend money, your hard-earned money, your energy, your time that you've probably got minimal of, and you're going to dedicate it to me or dedicate it to come in training, then you deserve the very best and the attention that I can actually give you. And as far as physicality goes and the techniques and getting good at what you're doing, well, I'm in control of it and I can move the person, so you know and I know that the energy that you give someone, they will respond appropriately. If you beat on them, they'll stay down low.
Yeah.
So 4 years later, still look the same. If I let them do whatever they want, the same result. But if I challenge them, build them through the mind and the body and build them up, then this is what you see in the gym now. I have 7 wearing black belts.
Yeah.
And these guys and girls are very good.
Yeah.
And brown belts and everyone else. But yeah, I like the attentiveness to the individual.
Awesome. And with Sustainable Jiu-Jitsu, where can we find Sustainable Jiu-Jitsu?
I'm my website www.sustainablejujitsu.com.au. I have Instagram Sustainable Jiu-Jitsu. I also have another Instagram, Professor James Woodfield Jones, and Facebook James Woodfield Jones, and I also have a Sustainable Jiu-Jitsu Team Herrera Australia Facebook page.
Awesome.
But yeah, always open for seminars, privates. I just want to help people. I'm not interested in politics. I'm interested in jiu-jitsu, sharing. I'm 45 today,
Yep.
so I'm not really interested in getting involved in this and that. I just want to share. People are respectful, of course. You know, you go around the right people, but just share the art. I've got a lot of knowledge. I've dedicated to this. I've dedicated my life to martial arts. It's 40 years of martial arts. To this point now, and 26 years to jiu-jitsu and striking. I've seen a lot, done a lot, and I want to share that. As you get older, you don't know how long I'm going to be here for. Hopefully a long time, but what am I going to take it with me?
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not going anywhere yet though, but this is the goal.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
My pleasure.
For having me
Thanks,
down.
sir. Thank
Look
you.
forward to hearing more from you soon.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.